All right, welcome to lesson 25 of H Radio 123 Part Timers. Nearly at the end, and I keep saying this, but we really are just another 2 weeks to go after this, and then we're done with Radio 1 for the year. And again, like I say, hopefully I'll see you in the second year course next year. Good luck with all your current work and assignments. And again, we are just as a reminder, please, and I'll remind you also on WhatsApp that we are going to have the in the last week of class is only it's a summative lesson. It is so please everyone attempt to join. I know again as obviously because I'm right here, the attendance has been not great. I know that the communication is quite clear on WhatsApp, and that's well, I mean it is what it is. As long as are good and you're feeling confident about understanding the work and the material and the ownership around that, then I'm glad. Then that's what we can do. But I'd also again like to address just like kind of like what's coming up in the future, for yourself and what you're thinking about in terms of your maybe your role potentially, so you can perhaps decide on a major when I say role in the entertainment industry, then perhaps maybe, like I say, you're going to specialize in radio in second and third year too. All right, what we're going to do today is in this lesson here is going to talk about personality, right? So personality is something that is intangible. I do understand that, but the thing is that the way that our personality, as much as it is something that we can't feel, touch, smell, whatever it may be, it is the literal transition to everything else that we do. So the way that we talk and affect people, the way that we act and affect people, and in this particular case, listeners, whatever it is, the way that we conduct ourselves, the way that we don't like pizza, or the way that we really love our families, or love pets, or whatever it is. Part of that is all little bits and pieces of what makes us a really rich individual as a person with a great personality, right? And as we talk through this particular lesson, I am going to play you two in particular, two parts or episodes from my audiobook, which is called Radio One on One. 25 of the most obviously the most asked questions in radio broadcasting. You can find that on chrisjordanmedia.net for free. Just go there and download it and enjoy it. It's a really great product for someone that is learning about radio and something that you can continuously go play back. It's not the whole audiobook is actually not too long. Made sure about it so that it's something that's consumable on an ongoing basis. So I'm not selling my product. So my product has been doing really well. That book has done really well across this country, the number of community stations, and a lot of people have really enjoyed. That kind of learning the basics to some, medium to advanced, like intermediate to advanced, concepts, right? But again, what I want to do is I'm going to play out of that. We're also going to have a look at, one or two personalities. One of my favorite, obviously, DJ Sbu, all-time favorites, just on radio. We know that he's also just moved over to Radio 2000 now, which is neither here nor there. I'm saying for just the work that he's done over the many, 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 many years on radio here in South Africa, and why he's just a great jock, right? So, I mean, we're going to play it's quite a long bit, I think, from one of his podcasts, right? I think it's called The Hustler. Yo, let me just quickly, not so I didn't get it incorrect. It is the Hustler's Corner, right? I mostly listen to his stuff on air, and the Hustlers Corner I've listened to once, maybe twice, to be honest with you. But we love Spoo, love Spoo. Anyway, sidebar. Okay, so let us quickly. We're going to share. I'm going to go back and forth between the audiobook and the slides, as well as obviously the video to Spoo, and let's have a good chat about how it is that you need to go and focus and kind of really, first off, center yourself around your personality and develop those particular characteristics of yourself to really showcase what a great talent you are when you are on air. This is coming out of Cullinan and Nash's Cullinan and Nash Next Level Radio, creating content, part 11 of 14, chapter 4. the spin method. That is my methodology, and I will say that with pride. You know, that comes off my book, A Word on Radio, page 152, developing character definitions, 153. Being yourself, 153 to 154, and flows of interaction. So, how or do we interact with another person before we even decide, listen, yeah, like how are we going to interact with another listener, which is another person, I get that. But it's in a specific little bubble, right? So, which is the studio itself, you know, on the platform of audio and radio, right? At the end of the day, so please keep obviously keep, like you know, put like a textbook and follow along. And note, you know, there are some questions at the end that really, I really suggest that you do tackle and you do answer for yourself. And please, let's kind of revise that in class as well, for you know, for the next little bit that we do have together. Okay. All right. So, with the spin methodology, when I did decide to kind of like yeah, when I wanted to write something about personality, when I wrote the textbook, A Word on Radio, and it was, again, as I said, my thing about personality is, yes, it is intangible. We can never, like I say, we can't hear or see it or specifically touch it. So let's say I want to, you know, strengthen my personality by doing some personality weight training or whatever it may be. And you know, and so on and so forth. It's so abstract to us because it just grows and it grows and it grows. I'm saying as a person, you know, as we go through different things in life, as we are open to different experiences, and you know, the more that we learn, the more that we change our opinion and our point of view. And you know, yeah, but also you're born with a certain personality that, you know, I always, this is the truth, and this is again one thing I always say, because when I first heard it, and it was obviously clearly decades ago that I heard this, was, you know, was the personality, the person that you are when you are 10 years old, which is when you go through your developmental stage, actually, kind of like really like who's this human being going to become, right? Is around when you are 10 years old. That person is who you are today. That'll never change. So you're gonna say to me, "Oh, Chris, I've changed a lot since I was 10 years old." I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, you sure? You have grown. You have learned certain things. You have polished up certain things. You become a professional at certain things. You know, you found certain friends or whatever it is. But the person that you were at 10 years, little boy or girl, that you can think of right then, like I say, I can think of myself at 10 years old. Yeah, I knew exactly." Like I can remember if everything in my life, predominantly, I'm saying to you, it is there in my brain. But point is, I'm saying to you, at 10 years old, like I was, like I am a shy person. Like I was a shy kid. When I say shy kid, like I don't, and not in the sense that I couldn't talk. That's not now, because at first I thought maybe it's sort of a problem with me being able to communicate with people. And it wasn't that, because with the people that I did know, and I, you know, I was very comfortable around. I could talk for hours, which is suppose what I can do right now, because I was very inquisitive, and I still am. Man, my brain back then is the same brain right now. It's chaotic, right? And when I say chaotic, it's an overthinker. Like I did, like I'm a super academic when I say that. When I have to apply myself, it is actually but still back then and still now. When I apply myself, it's a test always for me. You know, like I'm testing like an evaluation of my competency, or how you know, I see myself in terms of like a quality, or an assessment, or I suppose greatness to a certain extent as well. And you know, what is it? What type of people do I like? You know, and I don't like, obviously. Well, I don't like loud and brass people. I can't stand them. And I like people that are, I like friendships, I suppose, or talking to people personally. So having a really like it would always irritate me as a kid to have a very, well, I can't stand it even now. Um, a very shallow conversation. Hi, how are you? Oh, like you know, you know, what am I? You know, I can't even think of anything right now because I don't have small talk. Right, I don't understand the purpose of it or the importance of small talk, small chit chat, just to kind of get by before you get to anything, deep and rich. But for me, if a conversation is a waste of time, oh, I just do not want to have it. If the person, like, if I don't engage with a person that was worth speaking to, then I genuinely just do not want to have that conversation. Don't want to even be around that person. Negative people, are poison. I know in general, but for me, because I am not easily influenced, but I do feed off another person's energy, because I'm a big empath as well, and I don't like people that are, again, I don't like people or situations that make you are there to make you feel small, make you feel like dismissed, to those type of things. And what do I like? I mean, in terms of like personality. So what makes me happy, man? I really enjoy watching cartoons, anything animated. I love listening to music. I love playing like games. Like I'm a big gamer. I love nerd stuff, like nerd stuff. Just geek. I was always a big geek. Still am a big geek. And you know what? It wasn't even. I didn't even try. Like that's just who I was. And you think about the stuff that really, like I said, puts a little bit spark in your heart, in your soul. For me, it's also like art. Like you must look at the tangible stuff around you, like what are your talents? And I'm a good artist. Like I've been drawing since I was 3, and I've been painting and sculpting and whatever I can do. I can do it all because it comes so easily and naturally, and I love that type of thing. Anyway, so little bits and aspects, um, a little short biography of Chris Jordan, right? But the thing is that I know, the big thing is that you know who you are and who you always will be. And that was all just a small part of describing the 10-year-old Chris. And right now, the 43-year-old Chris is the same thing, man. Lots has changed, and lots has obviously influenced my growth and I guess my mood and my levels of anxiety and the way that I deal with stress. You see, these are skills that need to be learned. You see that's the thing. Competencies is different from who you are. And I get that if you have a medical condition that affects, let's say, some kind of psychological condition that affects who you are. I get that. We're not talking about that. Again, we're talking about the center of what makes you you. Why is it so important to go sit and reflect about the self, right? Because if you're being, here's the spin methodology that I came up with, right? Spin stands for the self, P's personality. I is putting the I into and N is being natural, right? So if you go through the spin methodology and apply it to yourself and look at which aspects of these I can go and I can just expand on, just to write things down. That's a very important thing. You may think you know yourself until I say to you, please go talk to me or anyone else for 10 to 15 to 20 to half an hour to 35 minutes about yourself, right? And a lot of people, when they do, well, I say students because I've been teaching for so long, when I do ask them to do this and they do stand up in front of the class, they struggle. They struggle. They're 45 seconds sometimes. Sometimes people get to a minute and a half and go and always say, that's pretty much it. And my response is, but you've lived so many years. And the only person that knows yourself so well is you because you spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and throughout year to year to year, you have been with yourself non-stop. So I think you should have a little bit more than, I don't know, 6, 7 minutes, 6, 7 hours, even if I had to. Um, contextually, I do understand you can't just talk about every single thing about you. That doesn't make any sense. But with every conversation and every situation, you would go and compartmentalize those aspects of yourself that you know that you are true to, and yeah, understand weaknesses, strengths, loves, passions, hates, like quirks, responses, or whatever it may be, right? These things are very important for you. When you do, like I say, write that down, you'll be like, oh, okay, man, I can start writing like a little bit of an almanac, right? So a big old biography about myself just by explaining who I am, And when I say who, why are you the way that you are? Do you understand? Like, so tell me why you're so quirky, where you have this affection or love for animals, for example, or the outdoors, or what does it make you feel like? Are you spiritual, religious, and how does that define you, whatever it may be? Being true to yourself, not and never trying to be someone or something that you're not while on air. We can tell immediately if you're trying to be someone that you are not. Ugh. And I roll my eyes and like I chug at it because I did that too. My first 6 months at Tux FM when I was a student jock, first time on radio, I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know what to do in terms of like we listen to radio all our lives, whatever it is, we understand that people talk, but I felt so uncomfortable with the product and the process. Like it just didn't make sense to me. Like now the mic is on and I'm supposed to start talking. Sure, I know that's the basic, but this is you. This is you, and you sharing in a I say premeditated way because this is a craft and a job. At the end of the day, you can't just say what you want and be who you want and whatever it is. And here's another thing as well, like only at the I suppose uh at grade 10, I started to change, not change, but change the way um, that I viewed myself, but definitely how others viewed me around me because I was bullied so much, and I was a big loner, and it really didn't have friends and stuff like that. Very unpopular, which is fine. All of us have our phases in our life that are just the moments that hurt you a little, just a little bit, right? But you know what? In grade 10, you know, because my personality, the person that I was, I'd go from school and I'd go home with this person that was so shut down, and obviously, like it would contrast so much to I know the type of person that I was. Very, very kind of like when I say like I had big dreams and I had a big personality and I had lots to offer and I had lots to say and you know again, I was always had one friend, and it was a good friend. I was a good friend. They were a good friend at any one point in my life. So I knew I didn't have a doubt that I couldn't get like I couldn't interact with somebody or like be in some kind of symbiotic relationship. Doesn't matter, right? But it crushed me. As you know. When you go through a very difficult kind of teen and school experience, man, and I took some steps that were because I was either going to um, uh, break completely, just completely break down, or I was going to do the complete opposite, which is stand ground. But I'm saying to you, like, stand ground with myself, look into the proverbial mirror, and be like, I can't, I can't not be myself anymore. I can't, and I also can't allow a world around me, that little mini burst that we have at particularly school, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as we get out in life, to not allow me to be who I am. You understand? That's very important, that you, at this point in your life, you are a young adult or you are an adult, because I know a lot of you vary in age, and you remember that moment. You remember the time, like Michael Jackson said, when you really like started to find that true self, right? And the thing is that anything beyond that, I'm saying to think of all those times, like again, I think about many times that did happen, perhaps maybe afterwards, because you have to learn and keep learning about that ownership of yourself, where you did kind of have like a relapse and you tried to really please people, you tried to fit in, or like you understand, you couldn't say you're safe because you refused or you were too like you were held back, you held yourself back from your the shine that makes you to allow to be shared with people and I say places, the places you've been or you're at around you, right? And you uh, oof, I think about, like I say once again, this person, this is why I'm saying to you this long extended story. When I got to air, the first thing that I went back into was that person that I was at school. I was very, I wasn't, I was, there's so many people that you will never meet on radio and in your show. I'm saying, as you do your show, you'll never meet, say, but so many people that can be, be not like you. You understand? And this is a job where you have to be liked. And so the thing is that in other words, you have to be popular, right? Okay. So that's the other, I mean, that's the way that we should actually say it, because our nuance and our interpretation of what popular is we think of those really beautiful people, those really like outgoing, like, oh, just like again, small group of people that were not the correct a definition of what popularity is actually about. Popular means that the people that you do meet and the people that you do interact with and the people that you work with, or again, they remember who you are. You understand? They like the person that they met or engaged with because this person was real, was relevant, was impactful, was themselves, or someone that someone could feel comfortable around. You understand? And so they like you. You understand? The more people that like you means the more popular you're going to be. The moment you try to be somebody else, like you're trying to be like I just said Michael Jackson because oof, I love me some MJ, right? Or you're trying to be like I'm naming all my favorite musicians like Tupac and Mariah Carey or whatever it is. You can't be them, you understand? Because there's only one version of them, and that's them, and they do it best, right? The moment you copy, you are a really like a poor man's copy of Mariah Carey or a poor man's copy of whatever it is, Montel Jordan or whatever it is, right? You're saying, oh, these people, they're my favorite musicians anyway. So the same also goes for like radio, obviously, right? Everyone that is in entertainment must have a very unique personality and one that they can build and showcase and know that they offer something different because they are a different person at the end of the day. You are a different person by default. So you can be unique, right? And to round up my continuous train of thought, for those first 6 months, I was trying to be like everybody else on radio that I liked, so that I would listen to as a kid, that I would listen to as a teenager. And at that point, after I joined radio when I was, when I was 19, right? No, the 21, right? 21, I joined Tux and it was I was garbage. I sounded terrible. I did. And my boss came to me because we had reselections every 6 months and said to me, you know what, hey, and my name was not Chris back then, it was a different name, it was Papa G. And he said to me, but he addressed me as Greek, which is Greek, right? And he said to me, listen, I've given you, so we're going to have reselections in 2 weeks' time, eh? And I've given you 6 months, right? And you sound terrible. And I said to him, why would you tell me this a little bit earlier? He said, because the thing is, it's not what you do on radio. You're fine, again, because you figured this out quite quickly. You know what you're doing, especially at the 6 month mark, whatever it is. But you as a personality sound like rubbish, ne? Because it was like the person that we interviewed when you came here was this weird, awkward, but confident, but like self-deprecating. But you're we liked you because you were different, and we couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. He said to actually hear what you had to do, and you gave me nothing. So what I'll do is I'll give you another 2 weeks, and otherwise, you're out the door. And here's the climax, I suppose, and the payoff back out of the story, right? I went on. I was very, very petrified to allow thousands of listeners, or even a few, right, because again, to know who I was, because they would maybe be quote unquote mean to me, and I don't mean that in a um like a patronizing way. People are going to be mean to you. If they don't like you, they're going to be mean to you. And even if you are very well liked, there's going to be someone that doesn't like you. It doesn't matter. That's people's nature, right? And I struggled with one thing that I didn't actually, even though I did become more of myself and understand myself, I hadn't accepted to that very particular point that who I am and who I am on air needs to be the same person. I need to know that that this person is someone I accept, and that if you are a good presenter, people are going to love you too. And I went back on air, and I was a totally different jock, absolutely different. And as you see, I mean, this is my 23rd year in radio and on air as well. And like it all started with knowing myself. You understand? So self is a really big part of the spin methodology, right? It's a big core for how you move forward in terms of ownership of who you are and what you can give to that listener, to stand out, to be a bit bigger, because you are a voice for people and you are an entertainer at the end of the day. You gotta do these things, be bigger, larger than life, right? Um, you can't be Mariah Carey. I'm saying to you, you can't be who I'm saying to you, Post Malone. These are like exponentially large. Um, they're not even people anymore to the rest of the world. They're not. I mean, they're just a brand, right? They're just a product. Anyway, too big. I'm saying to you, for you to be able to be an entertainer, you got to be large in life. Let's look at your personality. Being a personality that evokes an emotional response in listeners is the most important part of a character profile. I did say the self was the most important, but your personality at the end of the day. If you're a boring person, you still have a personality. Don't think that people are here on earth with no personality at all. Everyone has personality, but a great personality, a magnetic personality, charismatic personality, a funny personality, like a informed dominance, whatever it is. You can be different types of people, you know with different types of personalities, but they must be likable on air. And this personality has to be strong. Do you understand? It's got to command some kind of attention, from a listener to be like, oh, okay, this person is interesting, right? Okay, this personality that this person has is someone that I want to gravitate towards. Okay, look at the other two. Putting the I. So this is part of your persona, like the way that you personally invest yourself in one, let's say your show. Let's look at it from the show aspect. If you are passionate, you're present, you're involved, you're immersive, whatever it may be. You that says a lot about you as a person. Do you understand, right? How are you personally invested? At least sound like you are completely invested in the content you're delivering, in the work that you are doing, in the listener you're speaking to, the person that you're interviewing, the work that I'm saying the pre-produced pieces, the quality of the podcast that you're working on, all this type of stuff, everything, right? Has to do with your work ethic, man. Like it's a work ethic. How proud are you of the quality of what it is that you are doing? And do you want to be there? Like, I mean, it's the I is about I, right? Not you, not someone else. It's about you. So, like you are there. You need to be interested and actually want to be wherever you are, right? Okay, that goes for anywhere and anything. If you're at a party, for example, you don't want to be there, they should not want you there either because someone's celebrating having that party for a purpose, right? To have a good time. Why would you want someone there who wants to rather be at the movies or someone else's party? Be like, go, bugger off, man. You know, the same thing goes for work, or someone, like I say, you do a lunch date with a friend, but you're looking at your phone the whole time and you basically have predetermined that, oh man, you know what I want to do is just spend 40 minutes like a high. So dude, you're doing someone a favor. You're not doing that. You're not doing a listener a favor. Like you're doing your job. It's just not all about a person. And please, we say, oh, but who's out there that wouldn't do that or would do that? There's a lot of people that do not care about putting the I in the way that they navigate through life, work, and responsibility. Natural is, yeah. So when we go on air, the radio voice, how's it going? Whatever, and we all do that. Oh, everyone will do that, right? But you need to get that out of your system very quickly. When we say natural, like, yes, you must be polished and you must be presentable and you must know your stuff and you must not stumble over every second different word. You must not be able to not pronounce every single person's name or whatever it is, make a lot of grammatical errors and stuff. This is a skill set part of the polished side of that particular role profession, right? Okay. Here's the thing, right? The rest of it, all of it around that is a very natural progression around your show, a progression around your listener, a progression around your content, a progression around your delivery, right? Your execution, which means that that investment, that tone in your voice, the emotion that you are trying to again um, either empathize through I say transference to your listener, taking them through a story, whatever it may be, right, has to be there, right? Like, don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't be a robotic. Don't. We have commentators and we have um announcers and whatever it is, and we have voiceover artists, right? That sound very polished in a very abnormal way, which is correct for obviously that type of medium and that type of experience, situation or whatever it is, right? That role for us, we really have to be, we got to laugh and we got to feel like feel and react and speak or whatever like a normal person at the end of the day. Why? Why? Because normal people are listening to you as well. And it's weird to listen to someone who sounds like they are one long running advert, right? This means getting rid of, working to rid yourself of radio pitfalls and unnatural ways of speaking in your natural voice, accents also, and tone. You got to know, like we spoke about this yesterday with another class about accents. And there was one a student that was concerned about that he sounded uh far too English. You understand what I'm saying? And thought that a lot of the African community would tear him down for not having enough of a vernacular, I suppose, a nuance to him. And I said to him, listen, yeah, like you must look at all the radio stations. All we're saying all of them except PBS, eh? So not the African or Afrikaans ones, right? We look at everything else, right? Everyone is English medium. Everyone has to speak properly. Everyone has what we call a flat English accent, right? Because you'll be broadcasting in English, right? Those are English medium stations that we look around and look at all those commercial stations, and I suppose even to a large extent, all those community stations. We all have to not have a deep accent. It doesn't work on air. It alienates you. Unfortunately, it does, and you've got to work on polishing. I say flattening it out. How is this? Why does this not sound offensive? Because you must look at every single movie that has been done, specifically by Americans, right? We have extremely like like hard accents across that country, differing obviously, right, from wherever they come from. When they go and they play a character that isn't profiled as a Texan or a this, whatever. Everything else is flat American, right? It's a flat American. You know why? Because everyone around the world that watches that movie needs to be able to understand, like without the like I say, if it's without it being a specific role that needs a hick, like what is it? Not a town Billy. What is it? Oh my goodness. But like it's a hick. They call them a hick. Like um they're from the South or whatever it is, or from the sticks or a Mississippi accent, or that like there's so many different ones. But you go and you see how many of the actors when they do execute is a flat American accent, right? And we do flat South African, which is just just managing the conversation, the tone, and again, once again, that little bit of there's a little bit of flavor there, right? We all have different accents, true, but we don't. It doesn't drown us out. It doesn't drown out. And you'll now notice it more than ever because I've told you, excuse me, about it. Let us quickly go before I get to these parts over here, right? Let us go to some points that I've said um, uh, around like, two aspects of personality, right? How do we define personality? A word of control, right? It's a word of control.
A word on control. I want to tackle quickly, swiftly, and simply one of the broadcaster's biggest downfalls when managing their own on air execution, conversation ability, and their sense for always delivering a natural and real link. It's called control. Where do you, as a broadcaster, understand the lines of control in group conversation, a two-way dialogue, or even a self-served monologue? The plight of the conversation broadcaster, as I like to call it, when watching both amateur and experienced broadcasters time and time again, show after show, animated link after animated link, never really quite grasp what mindset it takes to, and wait for this, always execute a conversational, natural, and personality filled link. And here is the answer. You guessed it, control. Well, where's my point of reference? Let me give you a bit of an example. Apart from some lucky individuals who passed this obstacle the moment they got behind a mic, most broadcasters flip on what we call the radio voice or radio mode. Now, if you can try imagine the two voices of Bruce Wayne and Batman, the I am Batman alter ego voice is the one that we need to get rid of when doing our shows. Now, granted, Batman is a lot more interesting than Bruce Wayne is on a surface level. I mean, he's got better toys, there's greater allure, and a lot of people would even love to be the Batman instead of Bruce Wayne. But Mr. Wayne, and this is going to shatter your dreams, is the real one out of the two. He's the one that can go to the gym or the shopping center, buy some bread, buy some coffee, and that's who you really need to be when you're being an on-air presenter, the guy or the girl next door. This applies heavily in radio. There is an element of wanting and sometimes even needing to shed your humdrum everyday personality for a slightly amplified alter ego. But really, I advise you don't do it. It'll always be for the wrong reasons. Like the Batman, you shouldn't want listeners or fans to like you because you have a lure or an appeal that is fabricated behind, well, a mask of who you really are. So how do you get rid of the radio voice, the animated, unnatural element to anything you say on air? The answer is control. The concept of control while having a conversation with someone, whether it be maybe in a vox pop, in an in-studio interview, in on-air banter with a news presenter or show contributor, or of course with your caller as part of your content link. This is where any broadcaster finds that natural execution and that real feel that comes from thinking that you have control of that interaction or conversation. Suddenly you hear a broadcaster sound like a normal human being, laughing, asking relevant questions, or organically moving from one part of the dialogue to another. It sounds kind of easy, but so many broadcasters struggle with this. All attributed to the fact that you think because you have a vested part to play right now, and by that, I mean you think you are controlling conversation, where it's going, and what you want out of it, and with whom you choose to have it. You, as the broadcaster, feel confident and power when projecting the best normal version of yourself. Whoever you are engaging with is, by the way, doing the same thing. It's the common law of communication, or rather, our rules of engagement. So, how does this all help? Along with that alter ego that you need to dump immediately, start now by saying that control comes from the moment you switch on the mic to say anything. You are speaking to someone, whether you can see them or hear them or not. You are in control at all times. There is no fancy way you need to back announce a song, tell them the time, explain how and what you are going to do at the top of the hour or any other element of the show. Just make it sound good. And when you make it sound like you, and not forgetting that this you still needs to sound professional, it stops sounding good and it starts sounding great.
Right. Good advice, Chris. Good advice, Chris. Right. Let's continue with the lesson. We'll close up with smooth. Right. So developing your character definition. Before performing anything on air, start by constructing your character's point with a couple of things that you should think about. How do you feel about a particular piece emotionally? So we're talking about like maybe there was I mean, yeah, I was just going to the news. I haven't gone to the news for like 2 or 3 days, right? But maybe there was a mass killing, like some kind of genocide, or there was whatever it is, and you've seen the pictures. You need to obviously speak about it. You need to address it. And how do you feel about it emotionally? Because part of your personality is to react to certain things, right? And obviously, that emotion is how what you're going to bring into your link. What is your inner dialogue saying? So the immediate things that you're thinking about this particular like piece itself, that particular moment on air, and you've got to be careful about what your inner dialogue is saying and what your outer dialogue is going to say as well, because we have to go and measure and understand that. Listen, no one wants to know you fully. Trust me, right? Okay, all of us are very complex human beings with a lot of ups and a lot of downs and a lot of like ugliness. I'm saying to us, and a lot of greatness and beauty and whatever it is. But on radio, we tell you, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. But please, we only want you to know the best version of yourself. All those things, but the best version of yourself. So when you go and you do feel like you can say anything, because you can talk about anything, but you can't say everything about it. You understand about what you feel. And you can't just behave in any way you want because now you're on a public platform or whatever it is, right? Your inner dialogue, so we can say, okay, look, well, what do I really feel about this, and what are my thoughts going to whatever it is. Do you have your personal story about this piece? Do you have any opinions on the piece of content? And think of the content as a stage on which your character dances. Your flaws and quirks makes the content original as opposed to being generic. So, for example, we like R. Kelly was brought up. I'm saying in this in last week's like my last show that I did, right, and it was brought in within context to these musicians I was chatting to out from Durban, right, and we had this here, like I mean, it was authentic. Like it's a mass reaction on how all of us actually felt, like under the skin, like under our skin, something that you don't want to tell anybody that you love, Ignition, like the remix, right? And you'll never admit it because R. Kelly's disgusting as a human being. We know that why, and we know why now, obviously, but we know it for many years, right? But the thing is that that kind of vibe in the like I say, in just that one, it wasn't even planned because it's a reaction to an action, right? Gave it a nice original spin, just an original thing, like four different people, trying not to ever sound like they support R. Kelly, but knowing that they do play, like where in ignition comes. Who's not gonna dance, man? Come on. Anyway, like boo R. Kelly. Anyway, right. So let's have like think about how you can bring your personality and to always make a piece unique at any one given time in your show. According to Lloyd, in your book, The Reference 2015, being yourself is your most popular weapon, or powerful, should I say, weapon. Before you develop a radio show or podcast, do a full audit on your character. As I said, they go and write stuff down, like really go. And it's a great process of ownership and self-love as well. What is the status? What is your status currently? Like, what are you going through in your life stage? Like, are you at this particular phase in your life? Like, these things are worrying you, or these things are what are strengthening you. Like, these things are exciting you. These are the things that you're taking part of, like hobbies, or let's say charities, or like what is your routine, that type of stuff. What do you stand for, right? So what are your beliefs, your ethos, your ethics, that type of stuff. And what do you support, like, wholeheartedly? What do you enjoy, right? What do you actually enjoy doing? That's because we do want to know, and it's going to come out. So I said that, like, I'm super geek. Like, when it's Comic Con or anything comic related, or it's geek related or whatever, then you can hear me like really light up, and I know, like, oh, I can speak audiobooks about it, right? Just because it's and with anyone, everyone, like, tell me more, like that type of thing. True. Like, what do you enjoy, right? Not going to be for everybody, right? So I'm not going to make an entire show all the time about geekdom, but it's very good for me to also know that, listen, yeah, that there's the fandom in general is a big I mean, it's a big lifestyle aspect of many people's daily lives, and who they are, their personalities, whatever it is. But also for me, like, I must know, like, listen, yeah, these are the things that I do enjoy. What frustrates you, man? What really ticks you off? What words would you use to describe yourself? Oof, very difficult when you actually have to think about it, because such a complex person, so much to offer, right? But trying to like, nail it down to maybe five, six, 7 words that might describe who you are, at a first, like before a first step. So every show needs to have a full understanding of each character and of how the program fits into its market and obviously its community. So as I said to you, it's cool and all, and it must be done. You must know yourself fully. You must apply the spin methodology. You must really have that ownership. But remember that when you're talking to a kid, right, like a 7-year-old, there's a certain, like, Chris that will come out. Still the same Chris, but it needs to be like my communication, my interaction with the 7-year-old kid is going to be completely different to a 77-year-old woman or man, right? Okay. And it's because it's about relevance. It's a relevance context. Like, do I want to get the best out of this conversation? So I'm going to look at the kid and I'm going to be like, okay, like, I'm not gonna. I never patronize a child. Like, I mean, they can talk and they can understand. I don't like baby talk, but I will talk to them in language and with things that they're interested in as well, and that they can react, and what I know that they can react to. The same applies anywhere else, but my personality will not be dulled. Okay. Once the characters are clear, the goal is to speed the audience's understanding of and familiarity with this role, and to ensure that all that is said and done is true of that definition. I think that says it, like, nice and straight up and clearly, right? If a radio presenter can try to embody, understand, and project their trustful and somewhat exaggerated character, as I said to you, amplify, 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 right? They will genuinely connect with the listeners in an authentic and a real way. You have to be, again, larger than life, right? Because a lot of people are out there, and a lot of people you need to gain, or get their attention, right? And keep it as well. Doing this means creating real connections and meaningful interactions with that listener. So every opportunity is an opportunity. Like, I know that sounds so like, what does that even mean? I'm saying, where there's an opportunity, take the opportunity. Like, when you see a caller, when you see a voice note, When you see an interaction, when you see an opportunity, take it, make it, make the most out of it. Very simple, right? Speaking directly with, in other words, to, not at a listener. To you. What are you doing? How are you feeling? How did this make you feel when you were in, grade 10 or whatever it is? What was your best memory or worst memory? Or, what change have you made to your life in the past 6 months, in this new year? Whatever it may be. We have to talk to the listener, not at the listener. I'm just going to quickly zoom that in. Flows of interaction. We'll round up there in just a moment. Okay. Go up here. Not zoomed in far too much. But zooming. Here we go. Okay. So many presenters, especially with those with co-presenters or teams, make the mistake of communicating and speaking to each other only, right? We don't want, like, yes, you are talking to your co-presenter or your team, but remember, this is to be an inclusive conversation, right? We can't exclude the listener at any one point. And how do you say, well, how does that actually happen when it sounds private? When it sounds like, for example, like, let's say, picture you at a table with two other people, and they're talking directly to each other, and you're just sitting there and thinking, "This is so rude. It's rude. It is rude." So that's pretty much the best example I can give you. Don't be that person, right? Doing this can sometimes be useful. However, the majority of the conversation should be directed towards the listener. Presenter and co-presenter to the listener. What are we doing over here? Again, the same dynamic needs to be applied to obviously a listener that speaks to you both, let's say, or to you on a phone. Talk directly with that particular caller, and not speaking directly with that caller, the presenter and the caller, should I say, together, or having a conversation that once again is not private, but the listener can enjoy right along with you. Let us go watch a little bit of Smooth. Yeah, getting very excited. Right. Uh, a little bit of he's not. I won't make it too long. We'll watch. Let's about. I don't know. Let's see. At 5, 6, 7 minutes. Okay. Um, where did I put that? Is it this one? No, that doesn't make any sense. The right share. New share. Oh, here it is. A skeezer. Here we go.
Did you get in trouble for that? I was fired. That's
Got
how I got
you.
fired at the SABC in 2015. Somebody who's in my position is blessed enough to be, I'm 45 years old. I've been working for 20 years. So I'm not inspired all the time by money. Like they're calling me out like I'm a politician. I'm not a politician. I can do whatever I like. It's my life, right?
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of The Conversation Capital. Bonga, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome, thank you. Give, are you mic'd up? Are you here with us?
I'm mic'd up.
I forced him to be a part of this one.
Would you guys like to take a guess?
Who's around?
Nope. That's just boring. Let's go. Yeah. Smooth.
Eventually, he got the prime time breakfast show Monday to Friday. But his weekend show was the most popular radio show in Gauteng, because YFM was just a Gauteng station. This is before social media. Kabzela will call prisoners. Kabzela would be like that bigger brother in your ear, okhuluma ngesilokishe, and somebody who comes from a background of being a taxi driver. So he's used to speaking to people every day. He's used to cracking jokes. So a lot of Kabzela rubbed onto me. He inspired me in a manner in which he used to communicate with people, how he was a people's person, how he had a great sense of humor, how when he speaks on radio, it would be like nkare like type of, right? Then I was inspired by DJ Fresh. I loved what he was doing with his morning show and his afternoon shows at YFM. Apart from, him being somebody from Botswana, he came and created a successful DJ career in South Africa. At the time when he was hosting his shows, he had the DJ Fresh Foundation. So that inspired me. Kabzela had a movement called the PYG, the Positive Youth of Gauteng. So I sort of modeled myself around these people. Even before I got into Y, as that story says, they can read it on my books. I used to go to YFM. Every time when you visit there, they give you a visitor's sticker with that Y99 too. I think it was green or purple or orange. I don't remember. I think it was green or orange. Maybe green. Maybe as green. Yeah, like maybe as this can.
Yes.
Yeah, so every time when I would go there and come back, I'd come back with that sticker. I wouldn't throw it away, right? Like now, it's fascinating that some young people, they don't even throw away the Mofai can. They keep the cans. I was one of those people. I kept the visitors' stickers. And I also had a YFM, a poster of all the YFM DJs. I used to look up to them because I used to tell myself, I'm going to be like, not I want to, I used to say, I'm going to be like these guys one day. And it happened, right? So I put this sticker on my room like I was still at tertiary. Come back from YFM, put the sticker on the poster. Put the sticker on the poster. My roommate used to be like, so barengo YFM, bao gaspani, what's a halang? Type of thing. Khanzo Mabuse. Wherever he is, thank you, bro, for all the years at varsity. Thank you for teaching me to DJ. He actually is the guy who taught me how to DJ. And by the time I got an opportunity, I entered a talent search competition at YFM. By the time I got shortlisted to get into the top 8 or top 16, something like that, I had maybe, I don't know, between 30 to 70 something stickers on that poster to show the number of times I'd been to YFM. And I guess maybe sometimes I'd forget to take the sticker home. So, it gave you an idea of how many times I used to go to YFM to try and get this opportunity. And I eventually got in through a talent search competition. From a talent search competition, I never looked back. And how I got into that talent search competition, back in those days, there was no social media. So you had to do a voice recording of yourself pretending to be on air. And that thing, they used to call it US something, I forgot what it's called. Whatever those processes were back in those days of telecom. They give you a minute to pretend you're a DJ on air, and then you leave that voice note to enter that competition. So I left over 300 messages because I was working at telecom and phone bay mahala. Yeah. So every time before I start saying Spanish, phone piece, because I was like, I have to get in there. I have to be shortlisted. That's basically the birth of me getting into Y. But before getting into Y, I started at a community radio station. At that time, trying to get into Y. On weekends, I'm doing community radio at Tembisa. I'm also doing campus radio at now it's called University of Johannesburg. At the time it was called Vetstech, and the radio station, the campus radio, is now called UJFM. Those days it was called Channel T. So I used to work there, simultaneously work at Voice of Tembisa.
What do they call that? 10,000 hours or what?
Yeah, your 10,000 hours would be done. Your 10,000 hours
you
would
really
be
put in the work.
One thing that we were having a conversation about, and something that I've picked up in young aspiring content creators, is that they want Uguti from day one. Into abayenzayo must already be looking Instagrammable. Yeah, it must look good. It must make them look like they are, it's TV worthy from day one. So as I'm listening to your story, you started at a place that is very undesirable for many people. It's a beautiful story now in retrospect, but I don't think there's a lot of young people who, to them, that's an ideal place to start at. Which I think it's also something you talk about on your channel as well, like creating content. And I wanted you to touch a bit on the importance of that. Because I'm thinking right now, Guti, if you were to try to inspire me, Guti, you can become a DJ, maragmelu tati phone, and you need to phone and leave voicemails, and then I share 300. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah. Thank you for consuming some of my content. I appreciate it. We're living in a different era, and every generation that comes has to be better than the one before. And obviously now there's more resources, there's more tools, and there is the internet, and that's why some of us who sort of discovered this online space, whenever we did, we had to make it a point that we encourage as many young people as possible. Ude wozani ngapha, wozani la, qala nama YouTube channel, wozani la, learn about dropshipping, learn about forex trading, learn about blockchain, learn about, there's many ways on how you can make money online, man. There's like so many ways, it's just a lot of people are not aware. And I like the fact that things are different from isikhathi routine. As I say, at that time, I mean, I didn't even have an email address. I mean, you know, bengazi nokuthi ikhompyutha mina ngaqala ukuyibona eTheshari ngangithayipha kanje, you know. You know, so it has to be better now, which is a good thing. But with that being said, most young people have turned into this mindset, they microwave success, right? Because they're also put under pressure by all of these different videos and images they see online. And then abanye bayakhohlwa ukuthi even with all of these tools that we have, success still takes the same kusafana ukuthi uphumelele, you still have to apply the same principles. You know, we were talking about consistency earlier, but also I talk about this also in one of my talks. I think that talk went viral, and it's one of my most popular talks. There's some clips of it where it goes, "Whoa, bafethu, ngifuna ukuhamba ngama BMW, ama Mercedes." See, you know, I say they could start with the little that you've got. And it's exactly what a lot of people did. Like even in starting a business, like how we started with Pierre, we bootstrapped this business. How we started Massive Metro, we bootstrapped Massive Metro. How we started the podcast, same thing. I didn't have great equipment. How I built also my YouTube channel, same thing. You know, using the phone. It's the same principle with anything else. Like you're not gonna have a Macox. Negiya yokudlala idisk hamba udlala, you know, thatha nje icathulo zakhe ezinye zakudala vaya udlala upractice nentwana lapha egroundini, you know, gcoka ama-show, ugcoke lesa skipha ngathi sidabukile nyane sakho sase-Shoprite or whatever, uvaya udlala idisk, you know, ama-cox and all of those things, nebhola elisha, they'll find you along the way as you go, hamba uqala, you know. That's my message all the time, and that's pretty much how I started my career, and that's a message that I always share, because it's that same principle with everything else.
Words, a champ who loves Boo. All right, I'm going to end it there. See you in lesson 20.